Good morning, everyone, and welcome to From the Ashes Shorts. Yes, we are back. Sorry we missed a week, but we just wanted to leave you wanting more. But this time we are going into the shorts of Star Trek, and we're gonna do a tier list on the best factions. Where they're placed in 13 of the factions, like 13 of the top factions. Where they're placed on a tier list, and the tier list ranking goes from S, and then A, B, C, and D. So with me today is pretty much as always Zhombi. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, little dead,
Little Ted.
like normal.
Oh yeah, well yeah, he's had a rough week, with Halloween coming through and blah blah blah, and
Say
man,
Halloween's a tough time for him.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And that beautiful voice you just heard is Raven. How you doing, Raven?
I'm doing good.
So these are the co-hosts for my journey, and or our journey, I should say, as we do this. And today
that's
we're do what?
Star Trek Across the Universe.
Star Trek Across the Universe. So
Ooh, that would be a good series name.
that would. Oh, someone get a hold of Paramount.
They'll mess it up. They'll mess it up anyway.
They will. Nowadays, everybody messes up our childhood loves. So what would we do? Anyways, so we are going to be talking about a certain group this round, and the groups that we put these into like. So when we do this tier list, each episode is going to consist of three factions, and then on the last faction it's going to be one, and in a second you'll know why. So this episode we're going to be dealing with the Romulans, the Klingons, and the Gorn. And throughout the whole factions, like everybody that's in this is going to be Romulans, Klingon, Gorn, the Ferengi, the Undine, or the species 8472, Borg, the Orion Syndicate, the Breen, Nausicaan, the Dominion, the Cardassian, Terran Empire, which, let's just say, yeah, I love the Terran Empire, but I don't. It's a mixed thing in my head. And of course, the Almighty Federation. So we are going to be going through these for the next 5 weeks, and yeah, so that's going to be about it. So let's get down to brass tacks and open up this wonderful discussion and talk about the Romulans first. Who wants to open up with that? Oh, I forgot. Hold on, before we start, we are taking into many considerations for this tier list, and I want Raven to tell us what we are doing to come to our decision on where we place them on our tier list. So go ahead, Raven.
Yeah, you want me to do it because you want to throw me into the bus because I'm the one to push for the parameters for
You dang
how
right. You dang
how
right.
we tiered them.
I mean, if
So-
you didn't, I would have.
Somebody's like better you than me.
Right? Yeah, that's exactly what I heard. So okay, we agreed to look at 5 things, and then also agreed, for our parameters, that a lot of this was also personal opinion as well. I mean, there's no way to really kind of out and out define specific data points for this because we're talking about an imaginary world and using our imaginations and TV and movies and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot of objectivity when it comes to these. So what we looked at was we determined that we wanted to look at military might, territory, technology, adaptability, motive, and wrap it all up in personal opinion.
Correct.
And based on how we ranked things within those 5 different parameters and what our opinion was about those parameters and even about the faction itself is how we kind of came up with our different tiers.
That sounds just about right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So again, like the Dead by Daylight tier list that we did, that Arson and I did, this is going to be similar to that. Just knowing that on YouTube, on the Tube of Views, we will have a chart, an actual tier list listed on there. So at the end of this episode, we will have the 3 that we did posted. Tomorrow, I said tomorrow. The next episode, the next week, we will have a recap at the beginning, and then at the end, you will see the updated list. So we're gonna keep the same parameters with that, which is good. I'm happy with that. And so yeah, with that being said, I believe Zhombi was actually going to start us off with the Romulans. So go ahead, bud.
So I'm just going to quickly run down my list of where I ranked them in the order that was mentioned. So for the Romulans, overall, I have them as a B.
Okay. Well,
Interesting.
Let's save our grade until we all like after our discussion. But I like I like it so far. But okay, but I should have said that before, but I didn't. That's on me. My bad. But yeah, so go ahead.
So personally, I'm okay with the Romulans. You know, they're not. I'm not like, oh, they're great, or I hate them. But for most of them, I had them kind of middle of the road, like mostly B's and C's, with the exception of their technology. Just because I kind of felt that I mean, yeah, they're good, but they're kind of mid for me.
Yeah. And you know, that's okay, because I mean, so talk about their military might.
So they're strong, but I feel that most of what they rely on is subterfuge and sneakiness. So when it comes to like a straight up,
sorry,
I mean, yeah, we're looking at you. But you know, I kind of feel when it comes to a knockdown, drag out fight, yeah, they have power, but that's not their cup of tea.
Right.
Like they prefer element of surprise, come in, surprise you, catch you off guard, and run.
Gotcha. What about you? What do you think about that, Raven? What do you think about their military might?
So, in some ways, I agree with Zombie, and in some ways, I disagree. For me, military technology and motive ranked very high.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is, and I'll start with technology because that's the easiest to talk about. For the Romulans, they have, in my opinion, some of the best technology in the quadrant because they really are the ones that kind of led the way with the cloaking devices and the disruptors and everything else, even ahead of the Klingons. The Klingons got their technology, from what I understand, from what I've read. The Klingons actually got their technology from stealing it from the Romulans and reverse engineering it. So really, the Romulans are the first ones that came up with the cloaking technology.
Right.
So to me, that puts the Romulans well ahead of everybody else. Their military might, yes, they rely on subterfuge. Yes, they rely on guerrilla tactics. But honestly, you know, that's a pretty strong way of doing it. And if you look back over the years at various wars and things like that, it's typically the ones that do the guerrilla tactics that have the advantage, the rebels and the things like that. Their motives are purely for themselves, plain and simple. Everything that they do is for the betterment of the Romulan Star Empire and be damned to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
They, you know, and that's about all their motives are. Is they want to just be left alone, but we want to take everything else. Territory and adaptability, though, ranked very low for me in these because of the Romulan Star Empire was really not very big, and they really didn't adapt. They continued to use the same kind of tactics that worked for them for many years. So relatively, they ranked very, very low. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where I look at it. But you will be surprised with my overall ranking with them of them at the end.
I bet I can guess what it is, but I'll wait for that.
Mhm.
All right. So, Zombie, what about you with the rest of the territory, technology, adaptability, and motives? Because we didn't really
So
get into that yet.
no, that's fine. So territory, I had them pretty low, just because I the adaptability. I feel that they're okay. Like they're not like, hey, we're known for being adaptable, but they most certainly are capable of it. They're most certainly capable of taking a situation, learning from it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that they're not like, oh, I need somebody that's adaptable. Oh, I know, I'll go to the Romulans. You know,
Yeah.
and as far as motive, like I agree that they kind of want to be left alone. They're like, hey, I'm gonna go for what I want, but just we'll get along if you leave. You leave us alone, we'll be fine.
Right.
Unless, of course, you have something we want, and then, well,
We're
you know,
coming for you.
yeah, we're coming for you.
Right.
But that's where the Tal Shiar would come in because they'd be
Well,
underhanded and
yeah, I
sneaky
mean,
about it.
they're gonna
So,
they're gonna try and underhanded, sneaky wade their way into that
right.
situation, but
Right. Well, I would say this. In their intelligence, I would say Tal Shiar is like top notch. You know, they are what they are. You know what I mean? And that's part of their, military might in my own opinion. And I
Mhm.
think their military might is a mixture of both of what you said. They are a force to be reckoned with, but they're going to do it underhandedly and as sneaky as they possibly can. And to be fair, that's usually does well for them for the most part until it doesn't. Let's just say that.
I mean, that's how all tactics work. They work
Yeah,
until they don't.
right. I also took into the fact that they are descendants of the Vulcans. So they have a lot of that those thoughts, and I'm sure they had the technology of the Vulcans at that time before they split off. All they rejected Cirque's philosophy, of peace. So that was pretty much what separated them from the Vulcans at the time. Now, granted, it's a lot's changed since then, but I take that into account too. I also rank them fairly low on the territory and the adaptability. And I agree with Zombie about they are absolutely are able to adapt. But it's got to be in it for them, and there's certain things about that, their motive. Also, I agree with you guys. There's a lot of this I agree with you on, but their motives are pretty much, just leave us alone. We'll do our thing. You do your thing.
Self-centered.
And yeah, until they want something. So, but that's when again the Tal Shiar comes in. Their military might, I believe, they are top notch. Their technology, they are top notch. Like Raven said, they are the ones that came up with the cloaking technology. You know, so you just can't beat that. Like that's something that's been around in the Star Wars universe since the beginning. you know, so um, I just think it's it really really needs to be said that they should not. I don't think that they should be ranked in the C and D category ever because they are a major player in Star Trek. They always will be, even if they're not talked about or even if they're not the main focus in a season or so. There's talk of them, and the only reason that some of them may not like some of the prequels and stuff like that. Uh, I don't think they were a big thing in were they a big thing in Enterprise? I can't remember.
No, they didn't. They did. They weren't even in Enterprise at all.
Right, but weren't they talked about like a couple times? Like
No.
as of maybe not. Okay, well I'm
No.
getting things cross, But anyways,
Yeah, the only ones that would have brought up the Romulans in Enterprise would have been the Vulcans, and they
yeah,
didn't because the
that was a bad
Earth
time.
hadn't really. Well, it was a bad time, and Earth really hadn't explored far enough out.
Right.
So,
But yeah, so with everything that's been said, we know already where Zhombi lists them as a B tier. So yeah, well we didn't my bad. But we didn't go into that. We didn't say that. I didn't say that, specify that at the beginning. But now it's been said, we're not gonna have that oops again. So he's got a B on them, and I'm gonna guess where Raven's gonna put them, and I think he's gonna put them in A tier. So where are you gonna put them, Raven?
S tier.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I think the Romulans are an S tier. Mainly because their military technology and their military and their technology really kind of pull them out and push them ahead of the other.
Man, I see them as high A tier. No, not if they are S, they're super low. But I see as a high A from where I stand. So now we got to figure out where we meet in the middle.
Well, that's simple. If we got an S tier, an A tier, and a B tier, to me, the average of that would be right there in the middle at A.
Yeah.
All right.
I would agree.
All right. So our first one, the Romulans, go to A. And when we state for the next ones, like if we put Klingon in A, I can't talk this morning. If we put Klingon in A, we got to specify if it's going to go before or after. And as of right now, it seems like the Romulans are more in like mid to low A tier. Is what we're saying, right? Like mid tier, right?
Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
I can get behind that.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. Is everybody happy with that?
I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
you can't hear my head nodding.
Right. Yeah, I realized that too.
Like yeah, because I'm not even watching. We got our cams up with each other, but I'm on another screen, so I'm not even watching it right now. So
yeah, I'm not either. I'm on a different screen too.
Yeah.
I got two monitors, so
Well, I do too, but both of them are taken. So
Well, it's not so much taken as I've got kind of one monitor split up for the video and the podcast and stuff, but the other one has other stuff on it, and that's really more of what I'm concentrating on is the other monitor.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all right. So, well, we got that set up. Now we got our next one, and the next one is a biggin, like a real biggin, like one of the biggest menaces to Star Trek early years, including, the Klingons killing Kirk's son, and boy, did he let it be known in a very dramatic fashion. But that being said, I already spilled the beans. We're going to be talking about the Klingons. So, all right, Jeff, why don't you take us on this trip?
On this journey?
Yes.
So the Klingons. We'll just start at the top then with our parameters. Military might, I ranked very, very high because of most of all the factions, other than two of them, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They are ruthless fighters, absolutely ruthless. They give zero cares if they die or not in combat, because as we well know, Klingons find it an honor and a privilege to die during battle. So to me, they are very ruthless fighters. That puts them very high in might. Territory is a tough one. It's higher than what I placed the Romulans at, but not terribly high, because again, the Klingons really didn't have the ability to expand their territory much. They tried to, and then they got their wrists slapped and they had to pull back. Technology to me was very mid-tier on that, because again, most of the technology that they have, they've stolen from other places and reverse engineered it, because that's what conquerors do. They come in, they get the local information, and they make it their own. very low on adaptability. Very low on adaptability because they, for millennia, have the same concept of what they were going to do and how they were going to go about it, and they really didn't adapt all that well. Things that really didn't start to change until about the Deep Space Nine era, when, well, I'm not going to get into that, but anyway, after about the Deep Space Nine era, they started to adapt a little bit better, but not as much. Motives again were very low because literally they were very one-sided. It was, we are going to die in glorious battle. Today is a good day to die. And that's all it was. That is literally all their motive was they wanted to die. So it ranks very low for me.
Seems like they're going to be possibly low on his list.
Again, you're going to be surprised.
So I'll go next, and I'll say their military might. You're spot on with that. It's not like that they want to die, but they're out there. If they're going to die, they want to die in battle. That's, they want to live their life, but if they're going to end up dying, it's better to die in battle than some trashy way, like old age or stuff like that. But like they just want to go out in a blaze of glory, but yeah, so military might, they are pretty strong. I feel like they would have max points on that. Territory wise and adaptability also, the same boat. They're not very adaptable. Their technology, they steal from everybody, or well, they didn't steal from everybody, but they stole the cloaking technology. They use batleth, like basic, like physical combat weapons. They have other things too, but they keep it simple. Hand-to-hand combat, you're screwed for the most part unless you know how to fight them. Or just really good. So I think their technology is probably, mid to low tier for me. And their motive also, like stated, they just want to be, remembered for dying in, combat, and just, that's the way of the Klingon, let's forget about the many phases of the Klingons, like, how they ended up becoming the way they did, from the TOS to TNG, or the movies rather, and then TNG, or from let's even go even further and talk about Discovery. So I'm just saying I mean, we've got it, it's a part of it, so we've got to list it. Maybe we should do a tier list of all the shows, including cartoons and whatnot, next. Some other time. Yeah.
Well, that'd be a lot of TV to watch.
Yeah. Well, I've seen most of them, so at least.
Well, yeah, but for some of it's been so long, it's like, okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna go back and rewatch all of it. Okay, next year we'll be doing this tier list.
but to be fair, also next year's not that far away. No, to be fair though, a few episodes in and you'll probably start remembering a lot of it.
Also some things that I've seen a bit of Discovery, but not all of it.
You're not missing much.
I've
it's got some good storylines. Look, I do like Discovery to a point, but then there's a point where I'm like, nah, I'm good. There's a lot of problems that Paramount's trying to, as well as Disney is trying to make apparent, to different things that they put out. They're trying to include so much, and it's like, man, you guys need to get back to basics. Like, come on. And I know Gene Roddenberry is always the type of person to be really inclusive. I get that, like, truly. But anyways, we're not going down that road, but that's my thoughts on the Klingons. Back to you, Zhombi.
So I agree with a lot of it. Their military is fairly strong. Just due to the fact that they love combat. They love to fight. Their territory, it's not the greatest, but it's not like they don't have any. And technology and adaptability. Again, I agree with you guys on that. Their technology is and most of it oh, hey, we like that. Give it. And they're even less adaptable than the Romulans. I feel their whole thing is, well, we'll just throw more bodies at it.
Mm-hmm.
However, for their motive, I actually rank their motive pretty high. Because yes, they want to die in combat, but they're also very concerned about your personal honor. Like they have a strict code of like how you're supposed to treat people and how you're supposed to conduct yourself. That whole warrior's code of honor that yes, they want to die in battle, but if you die in battle, but you were a coward and you conducted yourself with dishonor and you know, tarnished, names and you focus on that, well, you weren't a good person.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, their motive was high.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna have to probably agree with you on that.
Yeah.
You've actually changed you've changed my opinion on that a little bit. But only on that. Everything else, it's I'm pretty much the same. But yeah, okay,
Like I
continue.
said, that was about the only thing that I really differed on you guys on was motive.
All right, so Raven, where would you place him?
I put him in A.
All right, what about you, Zombie?
I had them as S, actually.
Wow. Man,
Wow.
you had that much of a difference between the Romulans and the Klingons? Wow.
Well, okay, so looking at it for my personal view on everything,
Yeah.
I was so with the Romulans. So it didn't alter their rating from just how their information I was able to find.
Yeah.
I liked the Klingons, so that bumped up their
Yeah,
score to the next
that's
grade.
fair enough. I'll tell you this. I actually have them as an S tier as well, but the reason for mine is I love Worf. Like I just
Fair
love
enough.
him. I love Worf. Like he's one of the best characters on any show. Look, when you have the same character, like headline, well, not headline, but he's a main character in 2 shows. That's big.
3.
3. He was in. What's the third?
He was in TNG, Deep Space
Right.
Nine, and Picard.
Oh yeah, but that was just 3rd season though. So
Yeah, he was still in it.
okay, I'll give you that, but still, like he was the only one from TNG to go DS9, and he flourished there. And well, I mean, fully. Okay, well, besides, I'm sorry. First of all, you can't say that the one you're thinking was a mainstream person on TNG. He had some great stories, and he was good on that.
He became a main cast member about season 3, but then he really got on DS9.
Yeah. I loved him more. I loved his arc in TNG, but when he moved over to DS9, it showed a whole nother side. Like I loved it. And with Worf, that was the same way. We got to see Worf really fall in love and see actual loss, and see so much. Like his growth on that show was so much more than a freaking security officer, I mean, he was just like it was so much. So because of that, I also ranked the Klingons. Plus he played two different, from his what were they called, his house, on different things, because he was in the movie, which one, the 5th one? Was it the 5th or 6th? Was it Undiscovered? Oh, which one was it? Where he defended Kirk?
6 was Undiscovered Country. No, defended Kirk. That would have been Generations.
No. It was the one where he went to jail, in a Klingon jail, and for crimes or whatever, and then Worf, Worf's ancestor or whatever. You don't know what you're talking. You don't know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
okay. I don't know the movie.
Yeah,
it's Undiscovered Country is what you're talking about,
yes.
But I didn't realize that was Worf's ancestor.
Well, they don't say it is, but a lot of people like there's a lot of people that think it is actually.
Oh, okay.
But that being said, that's where I place them, is in S tier. So I guess if we average those out, 2S, 1A, it would probably put them low A or low S.
Yeah, low S, high A.
Yeah. So where do you want to place them? With 2S's, I would say probably an
I would say
S.
yes.
All right. So Klingon is the first to break the barrier of A to the S tier. And that brings us to the Gorn. There's not a lot known about the Gorn. They're very, I don't know, just
They're the Gorn.
yeah, they're the Gorn.
It's a
Yeah.
Gorn.
So Zombie, why don't you talk about them for a minute?
So, like, just start with my ratings, basically.
Yeah. Well, go into them and then your ratings. Like, let's be fair. People that are going to watch this, besides regulars, are going to be like for Star Trek, so they know what the Gorn are. Except for my sister wouldn't, and she watches all of them, so or listens to all of them. So explain it for her.
Okay, so the Gorn are basically they're lizard people. I mean there's obviously there's a little bit more in depth to it than that, but they're giant space lizards, or space dinosaurs.
Space dinosaurs, I think, is a better description.
Space dinosaurs. The reptilian. That's what they are.
Yes. So they're like you said, there's a lot that's unknown about them. I mean, I'm sure if you really delve into like the books and all that, you can figure out more. But I didn't. So they only appear a limited amount of times in the shows and stuff like that
In
I've
the
been able to
universe.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Obviously, if you start delving into like some of the games, they show up more. But as far as like their military might goes, uh, I had them fairly low. I mean, not all the way at the bottom because they're still fairly strong, but just the size of like their territory, they don't really have a whole lot of. I didn't feel like they would have a whole lot of like, oh, hey, we're able to bring a large amount of forces to bear.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have some, and what they have, I have a feeling would be pretty decent, but the sheer lack of numbers, I think, would be to their detriment. Um, their technology, I had all the way at the bottom.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so because again, there's not much known that. Well, they don't really have any technology that's really known to them.
Yeah.
I had their technology and adaptability fairly low, not D. Just due to the simple fact that I really couldn't find much.
Right.
And if I couldn't find much of anything, I didn't want to place it all the way at the bottom. So I just kind of went low or low mid because I'm like, well, I don't know. There's just they're an unknown. For motive, I had them just at B, just to get a little bump because yeah, they're barbaric, but like their main thing is they want to reclaim the territory that according to their history is theirs. Like this used to be our territory, we want it back. So it's not like, hey, we want to conquer your world because we're conquerors. We want it back because it used to be ours.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave them a slight bump up for that.
And that makes sense. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are like a reptilian humanoid, basically, is what the way I would explain them. I mean, to be fair, that's the Memory Alpha fandom explains them as a reptilian humanoid.
What's that's what? Well, yes.
I mean, you could take it with a grain of salt, kind of like Wikipedia. But
Well, and there's actually conflicting information in canon, but
yeah.
yeah. Again, because that's just because the Gorn aren't well known. But
Right.
don't confuse the space dinosaurs with the Saurians from Voyager either.
That's true. That's true. All right, so Raven, why don't you go ahead and tell us your thoughts on?
So, yep. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Like Zombie, I ranked everything fairly low. Again, we don't really know much about their military might. What
Mhm.
we did know about them for a very long time was from TOS when Kirk fought the Gorn on the one planet.
Right. Did they have a
Um,
blaster on there, or was it just them?
no, it was just them.
That's what I thought. I was trying to sit here thinking about that earlier. Like, man, I can't remember.
I don't.
Anyways.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the episode, but it was the one where Kirk and a Gorn were transported to a planet and they had to fight in hand-to-hand combat. They didn't have like phasers, disruptors, anything like that, and they had to fashion weapons and everything from what they were. And then all the penultimate part of the episode was, no, this is not the way to do it. We need to have peace. Blah blah blah.
Was it called Arena?
No, I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember what season it was in. That's really, we know, and from that we know that they have oh, that's different. Sorry. That they are good fighters. We don't really see anything about the Gorn, and I think this goes back to why everything got ranked so low for a lot of us. We don't really see anything about the Gorn until Discovery again in the TV shows. Yes, again, you delve into the video games, they're there, but you don't really know much about them. And even in Discovery, they're really not. There's really nothing there, even.
They're not made prominent like too much. They're
right.
Not really...
Right. They're mentioned in a few episodes. They're mentioned that they're, taking over the planet because they want the planet back, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. In all honesty, they look better. But in all honesty, they really likened the Gorn in Discovery to I can't think of what they were called from Andromeda. The things that would attack you and lay their eggs in you, and
yeah.
Oh,
that's kind of the yeah. You guys are doing the same thing. But that's kind of how it felt to me, like they were likening the Gorn in Discovery too. Is these hive things that all they wanted to do was reproduce.
I want to call them the Krill.
Yeah,
but that doesn't sound right.
The Krill was a different species from the Orville. No, it's something, I don't know. I'll look it up later. Anyway, so getting back to my rankings. So military was very low. Territory, they have none, so that's very low. Technology, again, no, we don't really know anything about their technology from TOS, and by the time we get to Discovery, they have their own hive ships that they're flying around in. Even though, which is really, I'm sorry, it's not Discovery. It's Strange New Worlds. It's not Discovery, it's Strange New Worlds. Which really is kind of funny because Strange New Worlds takes place before TOS, so what happened in the meantime? And it's not really all that far apart.
Right.
Anyway. Adaptability, again, very low because not a whole lot to adapt to. Mm-hmm. And then motive, we don't know their motive. So I ranked everything very, very low.
With me, I did take into account the mysteriousness of them because, if we don't know it, how can we gauge it? So
right.
Yeah, I could rank it low, or I could be a little more generous and just kind of put like an unknown status in there to where it'll give them a little bit more credit. But I wholly agree with everything you guys said. Their military might's not that advanced, although they are great fighters. And the things that they can do, because are like in the later episodes, aren't they able to become like stealthy, like turn invisible? Yes.
Well, that was and that came up in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah. So with that, I give them top props for that. So I give them a pretty high military grade for that. I would say high B, low A for that specific spot. The rest of it though is pretty either unknown or just low, because there's like I take into account what Zombie said. Yes, they're just wanting their stuff back. Basically, they want to take their ball and go home. They want to be able to get their stuff back and go, and that's respectable. And because of all of that, I put them, I don't know if you guys are going to agree with this or not, I put them in the C tier. I think that they're definitely not a D tier, but they're not a B. I think they're C.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's where I put them.
I have as a solid C.
See? See?
I
See.
All right. Well, it looks like we got our first three done. Romulans we put in A, the Klingons we put in S, and the Gorn are sitting there in C, all by them lonesomes. Well, actually, they're all by their lonesomes right now. But yeah, that's the first episode, guys. We're gonna take this, and like I said, we will be doing this something similar to the way we did the last set of shorts. We will have the tier list show up, like it should be up there now for the YouTube viewers. But you know, so this will appear during the episode. But yeah, I want to thank Zhombi, and I want to thank Raven for being here. It's a really good start, guys. But if you guys want to know more about From the Ashes, there will be a link in the description below. But until the next episode, which will be next week, I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day. You guys
And
have
real
a great
quick-
time.
Real quick,
Yes.
I was correct in my thinking. It was the Magog from Andromeda. It was going to bother me if I didn't get that out.
Yes.
Yeah, so
That's kind of where they likened the Gorn to, in my opinion, was the Magog.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
All right, well,
Anyway,
there you go. It's still Gene Roddenberry related, so there you go.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a good week. We'll talk to you later.
later.